Welcome to the latest edition of the Showbox Sires series, introducing our new bulls on the Dairy Voice. And today it's going to be my great pleasure to introduce our newest bull, 744 HO 17933, King's Ransom Donatello. He is from the famous King's Ransom herd in New York, from a very famous cow that we're excited about. And my guest today will help me describe some of the attributes of the bull and the cow family and why we're so excited about this very unique outcross bull. Joining us on our podcast is Jeff Ziegler, who is Vice President of Genetic Programs at Select Sires. And Jeff has been in the AI business and in sire selection for many years. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here.
Before we move on, I said many years. Do you want to tell our listeners how many years you've done this?
Tim, you got a few of the same color hair that I do. So, yeah, I've been at this 41 years as of last week, and hopefully many years yet to go.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations. A 41-year career, mostly all the time in sire development, sire selection, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and the reason the hair color is the first 20 of those I was competing against you, and you made life a little difficult. So it certainly is nice to be a partner now instead.
The only thing is, our listeners, Jeff, they'll compare our hair color when they see us, and they know you gave me a lot more gray hair than I gave you.
Mission accomplished.
And also to introduce our second guest today, been a great friend for a long time and a 35-year veteran of the business as well, Bruce Smith. And Bruce was involved with direct sales to herds for years for one of the co-ops at Select Sires, and now has moved into a role at Select Sires. And one of the most important roles is kind of the product manager. He's the guy that gets the semen out the door and in the right allocations and keeps the bulls moved to the right facilities. Bruce, that is a lot of moving parts in your world. Welcome and give us a few comments about your involvement.
Well, thanks, Tim. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks for making me sound so young with 35-year career because Jeff and I graduated college together. So, side note for the listeners, I met Tim way back in his early days when he and my wife Terry were teammates working in the Jersey breed at the time. So that's been a long time ago. But so I've known Tim a long time. But yes, I've had a 40-year career. The last 27 of which have been as a part of the Select Sires Federation, either in sales or now, as Tim said, in product management.
Well, and guys, the reason we have you both on this podcast today is because the power of this bull we're introducing today from a global standpoint and an outcross breeding standpoint is as powerful as we've had for a while, and we wanted some of your insight on these two bulls. So welcome. So the bull Donatello, I'm going to tell our listeners quickly, guys, and you may not even know how he came about. Mike and I have been in love with a cow called King's Ransom Casp Days. She is a beautiful cow at King's Ransom. She runs around that 1,300 cow freestall on beautiful feet and legs and with one of the nicest udders you'd ever see. Bruce and Jeff, the length of this cow's neck is almost unmatched by any other cow in the business. She is a true dairy cow. When I went to see the cow, her son Dropbox, which has been a very popular bull, was just kind of coming out. And frankly, Mike and I tried to buy this cow at King's Ransom. We didn't have any luck, and so we decided the best thing we could do was to do an IVF session on the cow, and we purchased an IVF session on days from King's Ransom, and that's how we got Donatello. We used two different bulls that day, and the bull that came out the best for us was this alligator son. So as we introduce this bull, Donatello is an alligator right out of the 95-point Days cow at King's Ransom. Days goes back to the D family at King's Ransom, and that family for years and years and years, Jeff, has been a family that AI has worked with. In your earlier days, Jeff, do you have some experience with the D family at King's Ransom?
Yeah, actually, Tim, we do, and it goes clear back to an M total way back in the pedigree, about a few gray hairs back in the pedigree, I should say. But yeah, it's been a great cow family for the King operation for many years. You think of Kings, you think of the D's, you think of the C's, the two family that they built a legacy on. The D's that we're talking about here with Casper Days, she was easily a fan favorite, and it didn't come by surprise when you look at her depth of pedigree and the cow family behind it. It's pretty awe-inspiring to see a herd of that size and magnitude have a family that just rises to the top consistently, kind of regardless of whatever sire was used. So it just shows you that maternalism that we fully believe in, and we think Donatello will carry that legacy through.
Well, good points because, truly you can go back to the cows and Jeff, it speaks to how long you and I've been doing this, but it's 10, 12, 13 generations back that you and I'd be familiar with the cows behind the M Toto and all those cows that I believe the family started at Pencole and was involved with some of those cows were involved with the Edison project years ago. So it's funny, this family for the 35, 40 years I've been in the business has been a prominent family making bulls for AI.
You say Edison, and it's not that wasn't an electrical company. It was a a thriving embryo business that had some great results come out of it. So, yeah, it's good to see that family continue on, and this is just another legacy in the making.
So, Bruce, you sold semen to dairy producers for years. We alluded to that in their start. As you look at the profile and the information on Donatello, I know you're really excited about this bull. What are some of the things that stick out in your mind about the bull?
Well, from a sales experience standpoint, one of the things that always helps you is just a really balanced bowl. And you guys talked about what does it take to make a balanced bowl? And you guys talked about it with the cow family. When you start with that kind of a cow family, you're already, you got one check in the box. And then when you got positive milk with really good type, those are the kind of customer satisfaction bowls that people will continue to use. When you have a 2-point type bowl, 2-point udder bowl, really good for foot and leg also. And then my newer part of my sales career, one of the traits that we started looking at more and more as a sales rep, I did at least, and talking with customers about was the lameness traits from Zoetis. And this bull is excellent on feet and legs for lameness at a plus 105. So when you add milk and type, both udders and feet and legs, you have a good somatic cell score and good mastitis scores. I mean, those are the kind of bulls that just tick a lot of boxes that customers will continue to use and use and use. They may not be the highest ranking bull all the time, but when they make really good, solid cows, they'll continue to go back to them.
And Bruce, you allude to something that I think is one thing that sometimes we forget in the AI business is that balance is what people really ultimately want. We all want the highest bulls. We all want the bulls at the top of the list. But a lot of times to breed a great herd, the balanced bull will get you there faster than the extremes. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at some of our millionaire sires, some of our top sellers today, the bulls that lead the sales that I sold the most of in my career were not necessarily the highest indexing bulls. They were the most balanced bulls that did a lot of things right, and that included both type, it included production, included components, and they didn't kill you in any one spot on health traits too. And so those bulls will continue to be used within the both commercial and the show part of the business.
Jeff, one thing that our listeners probably need to hear a little bit about is the sire, and you and I haven't talked a lot about this, but the bull alligator would be a bull that didn't get used much in USAI systems at all. But your views a little bit on the bull alligator and why he can do some good things for what we need around the world.
Sure. We're always interested, Tim, in trying to find something that's unique to our current sire program or a bull that we may not have used in the past in our sire program for reasons that can be one of anything. But Alligator is leaving his mark today with some exceptional daughters in both in the show ring and has some production credentials that you can't be bashful about either. When you can provide an alligator out of a Casper, you're going to burn through a lot of tires to find that type of pedigree in most of the select sires herds. So it just creates a diversity portfolio that we'll benefit from, our customers will benefit from. And then when you add the cow family that we've been bragging about with length of body and dairy strength with exceptional udders that they all exceed in, it's just a fun combination to use on a variety of maternalism already established in herds.
And Jeff, I referenced that I just read a really good article in Holstein International with many people commenting about outcross and what it means. And I like your term diversity. You use that just barely in your conversation. Just for our listeners, what do you mean by diversity? Why do you think diversity is important? What's the difference between diversity and outcross?
Outcross, Tim, to us serves a purpose as long as it has some great value that goes with it. And if it has extreme value, and I take the most recent bull as a bull like Renegade, who was outcrossed when he first come out. Now he's pretty much common bloodlines across the globe for because he was a very good bull, still is a very good bull for that matter. So we're always looking for some diversity because it's hard to find true outcross. That's a bit of an overused term, just like inbreeding is a bit overused as well. We believe in diversity, and you look at diversity not just from a pedigree alone, we look at it from a DNA makeup as well. Because Tim, you and I are probably related somehow. You got all the genes of good looks and wealth, and I just try to work like a dog and root for my Buckeyes. But
Well,
the
there's certainly, I'm sure, Jeff, if we go back far enough, we've got common ancestors. I don't know, Bruce, do you feel like we go back to the same gene pool somewhere?
I'm not sure I could claim to go back to any gene pool that matches somebody from the Northeast.
Well, I will say for our listeners, both of these are extremely loyal Buckeye fans, and that's probably where our allegiance in business and in cows seem to be pretty strong. But football, we might separate a little bit. Bruce, Jeff's made some great comments about why this bull is important, and I want to go back to it in our world of breeding today. But for you, a bull that offers some diversity, how important is that to the reps and the customers that you work with every day?
Well, that's always very important. And from a sales standpoint, we're always, if we're mating cows, if we're working through the herds, we need some diversity. We can control the amount of heritage through mating programs and that sort of thing, but to have diversity is really what drives it. And just like Jeff said, the great bull like a Renegade is an outcross at one point, and now he's not an outcross anymore. So, and all of his progeny and sons thereafter. So the great ones become the standard. And I've seen that throughout my whole career. We can go back through different ones that we said at one time were outcross, and now they're in every pedigree, so they don't remain outcross. So we need that diversity, and that's what Donatello offers. He's something different than we've had here at Select Sires before, and again offers a lot of production. Excellent type that diversity will just carry through and lead to a lot of additional sales throughout our system.
Well, and I laugh because if it's outcross and it's good, it doesn't stay outcross for long, right? That's the bottom line because then it'll get
Absolutely.
infused in the population. So I think your term diversity is helpful to our listeners. Also, guys, the reason Showbox and Select are partners in this adventure is because we were promising to bring diverse product to you, something that you're not currently doing in any other program. And I think this is a perfect example of a bull that you guys are really glad to bring to the customer, but he didn't fit exactly what you were doing in your other programs. So the diversity that we bring as Showbox is pretty fun. So as we wrap up this discussion, we've talked about days, we've talked about alligator. In one of my prior podcasts, we talked about one of the real telling moments for me on alligator when I was up at Lundy's farm in New York. Saw about every 3-year-old cow that ran by us. I'd ask Pat or Reed what they were buying. Almost every one of them was an alligator. They're working in their big commercial herd that they're growing in, and the guys love them. You go to Quebec, and whether you're in a robot herd or you're in a tie stall herd or a herd milking in a big parallel parlor, they love their alligators. They're wide rump. They've got their teats put in the right place, and they're very, very milky cattle. So I think I'll finish this conversation with you, Jeff. If you'd talk about putting this bull in use on the Select Sires customers. So you think about all the great genetics you have from the H family. We all have tons and tons of Lambda, and we all have tons and tons of King Doc. Think about that, guys. Those three bulls in the Select Sires world there's a huge percentage of your customers that have those genetics. Think about Donatello. I think I'm safe to say none of them cross, do they? They are completely different populations.
The crossover population is where you really make the magic happen. And the P's and the H's families that you just recommended already or mentioned already are obviously stable mates in our barns and a lot of our customers' barns. So it's nice to have this bull to cross back into them. Probably, I think the reason that magic could happen, at least we hope happens, is again that dairy strength that this cow family has. I can't emphasize that enough from this operation. The Kings have had great success in a large operation, breeding a family that consistently do that from a sire lineup that not a lot of people utilize. Casper didn't get a lot of use out there, like it or not. So a 95-point cow alone is pretty special, but when she's sired by a different bull, that makes it even more special. So there's great opportunities, but yeah, the lambda blood is an obvious one as well.
Bruce, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's something different, and when you add again the strong, deep, open rib, really good udders, feet and legs, I mean, why not utilize a bull like this to across those kind of pedigrees that we have been very successful with here at Select Sires, as Jeff mentioned, with the P's and the H's, and then also on Lambda Blood. This bull can work really well and be just a little bit different.
Every day I get people saying, "What am I going to breed my lambdas to, or what am I going to breed my Hulus to?" And this bull could really have an impact. Bruce, you mentioned it early on. His PTAT is over 2, and his udder composite's right at 2. We don't have a lot of bulls that do that, that cross that line at 2 on each, and still give you positive production traits. And I think that's a real claim to fame. So as we wrap up, you talk about the impact this bull could have, and Mike and I just got to attend a conference at Select Sires last week in Plain City or in Columbus. And I think it's important for our listeners to understand the scope of what your business is doing at Select. Would you give them a quick rundown of what that conference was about and who was there?
Yeah, so it was a pleasure to have you and Mike here join us. So our conference was our global sales conference. So it's something that we do every couple of years. And it literally was a global conference. There were well over 400 guests at this conference, all as sales reps or advisors throughout the Select Sires and Worldwide Sires system. They were representing 36 different countries. It was beautiful to have that number of people together, all trying to learn from each other and be a part of it. Tim and Mike joining in from Showbox Sires and being able to explain their business with sales reps that may not have been as familiar with it. We had a sire parade that you could go look at on social media if you do such a thing. We referenced several Showbox sires in that. Donatello was not one of them because I didn't have him in the right barn. Maybe I'm not sure why he wasn't on it, but that's up to me to get him in the right barn. But he wasn't that day. But we did have some other Showbox sires in the parade, so it was just really good for the whole globe from a sales standpoint to have an awareness even more so of what Showbox Sires is as part of the Select Sires sales portfolio.
Having you and Mike here as part of our sire team, we're blessed with a great sire team, and we're even more blessed when we can bring partners like you to join the sire team with like interest. We're just a bunch of cowboys that love good cows and love to breed good cattle and love to talk cows with our customers. So you two fit in like a glove, and we're honored to have you here to join us.
Well, it was quite an event, guys, and I want to thank you on behalf of Mike for that. But interestingly, Jeff and Bruce, you both referenced it. We all, we met. We could not believe the interest in our product line as we stood there at our booth in between meetings, and the people. It didn't matter if they're from France or they're from Switzerland or they're from the countries in Latin America, or all across North America. It just continued. Everybody still is passionate about breeding cows if you're in this business. And everybody says genomics takes that all away. All genomics does is adds to the fire, right? If you're passionate about it and you got a new tool, if you love lawn care and you figure out how to use a new weed eater, you can really go to town and have a good looking lawn. And I think think that's what people said to us more than ever before. So we thank you for making us part of that. So we'll conclude our discussion and thank Jeff Ziegler and Bruce Smith from Select Sires for helping introduce to our listeners 744 HO 17933 King's Ransom Donatello. The bull will be released at World Dairy Expo times. He is the alligator son out of the great cow at King's Ransom Days, the 95-point Casper daughter that has done so much for the business already, and we think her story will continue on with Donatello. Thank you for listening.